This is Eric with Astrology for Awakening, where we examine the current astrological aspects, the current weather of the planetary energies, as teachings, as invitations to going deeper into our true life. Not so much to discern what's going to happen to me, but rather to become attuned to how is life inviting us, inviting you, inviting me specifically into recognizing the ways that our self-protective strategy is limiting our capacity to realize, embody, and express wisdom and love. Astrology for Awakening. And the aspect we're looking at right now is the Sun squared Pluto. And this is an aspect that happens twice each year as the Sun goes around. It takes a year to go around the zodiac. Pluto moves very slowly, so the Sun will catch up to Pluto, move into a 90-degree aspect, then be like a full moon, so to speak, in opposition, then come back around a square again before it touches Pluto, and then circling around. So this is a moment that repeats itself every year, this particular, what we call the waning square. The Sun is heading towards Pluto, towards a conjunction to Pluto. So what does that mean? The Sun is the symbol of life. Pluto is the Lord of death. The Sun is the symbol of vitality and the brilliance and the blossoming beauty of feeling that life energy. And Pluto is the Lord of death, that asks us to go into the dark, into the depths, to discover something that we can't know in the light of our everyday mind. So there's this dialogue between the Sun, the light, the energy of and the vitality of here I am, and death, the ever-present recognition that this moment is sacred and it's arising, and part of its sacred, very sacred nature is it will pass away. This life comes with a expiration date. We don't know what it is. As all the wisdom teachers and all traditions have said, it's right there on your shoulder. Death is your advisor, saying, be present to the sacredness of this moment. Now, in the ancient days, the yogis who lived in the forests taught their disciples, and those teachings were codified, were not codified, but were written down and then put together in a series of teachings called the Upanishads. The Upanishads. The Upanishads means, Upanishad means sitting near devotedly. It's a symbol of the disciple sitting close and listening to the teacher, the guru, expound on and transmit the wisdom. And one of these, perhaps most famous, is Katha Upanishad. It's a story of a young man named Nachiketa who goes down into meeting the Lord of Death, Yama, Pluto. It's like this beautiful youth. The Sun is going to head down and have a dialogue with Death. And he's asking Death to teach him deeply. I want to know the eternal. I want to know the deepest truth. I want to know the wisdom that is beyond the cultural conditioning, beyond the rewards of the culture, beyond the inherited beliefs of the culture. I want to know the deepest teaching that you alone know, Lord of Death. So this is that moment. For all of us, it's again this moment that's subtly present, perhaps, but you can tune into it. It's the subtle invitation to recognize however much I'm trying to build up my identity, however much I'm investing in my success and my creativity, the Lord of Death will teach me something profound, something deeper. Now, in this very Upanishad, much like in the story of Jesus going in the desert, the Lord of Death says, I'll teach you how to be rich. I'll teach you how to be famous. I'll teach you how to win all the awards. And Nachiketa's like, no, I want the deeper teaching. Like Jesus was presented with all these, you can be the ruler, you can have everything that you want. No, I want the deeper teaching. This is that aspect. It's like to notice, really. I can certainly notice myself. The conditioning, it's not sure that it wants to go for that deeper teaching. Maybe I could hack awakening and still get the accolades, the likes, the audience, the whatever the rewards are that I was culturally conditioned to want. Maybe I can still get those and sneak them in while I'm getting the deeper transmission. But in both Jesus' case and Nachiketa's case, they say no. And Nachiketa says, I want to teach me to see beyond right and wrong, beyond cause and effect. Teach me the deepest teaching. And finally, death. Lord Pluto relents. And remember, Lord Pluto holds the greatest wealth of all the gods in the pantheon. Holds the deepest treasures, because those treasures are found in the dark. The sun is going to go down into the darkness, and it's now a chance for us to become undefended and to release our commitments to partial fulfillment, to open to the deepest fulfillment. So the Lord of Death says this, I will give you the word all the scriptures glorify. All the spiritual disciplines are condensed and expressed and attained through this word. And the word is Om. Om. It's a mantra word. It is not a word that is a signifier of something. It is the word that is the embodiment of that revelation. To chant the Om, to attune to the Om, to enter into the Om, to let it enter unto you, awakens within you something. He says this, it is the highest. Realizing it, one finds complete fulfillment. You find complete fulfillment of all one's longings. To really tune into that deepest truth fulfills all of the secondary and tertiary and quaternary, all the superficial longings are satisfied because they are all symbolically seeking fulfillment. They're seeking the experience of presence. That's what's available to us in this moment, in this aspect. Those in whose heart Om reverberates unceasingly are blessed indeed and deeply loved as the one who is the self, the true self, which he says, this all-knowing self was never born. The rising and the setting of the sun is an appearance, definitely an appearance of the expression of the radiance, but the radiance itself was never born, nor, it says, will it die. It's beyond cause and effect. This self is eternal, immutable. When the body dies, the self does not die. We could say when your Facebook account dies, you do not die. When you get fired from the job, you do not die. When you break up with your lover, you do not die. As that self, there definitely is a transformation. And that's the invitation of Sun squared Pluto. It's the invitation to shed your commitment to surface goals, to shed your commitment to surface identities, and to go deeper and to discover that eternal self. Hidden in the heart of every creature is this self. Every creature, you included, and even the people you can't stand, that self is there. And that's part of this invitation, to shed ourselves of our prejudices. That's not that hard, but to shed ourselves of our loyalties. This temporary conditional identity is held together with prejudice and loyalties. Pluto squared the sun says, can you be fierce in relinquishing the identity that's held together by right and wrong, by prejudice and loyalty, and open up to that which exists in the heart of every being, greater than the greatest. To know this, you go beyond sorrow. It dissolves self-centered will, and we behold the glory of the self as the all-pervading, loving awareness. When the wise realize the self, they know the formless in the midst of form. They know the changeless in the midst of change. They go beyond sorrow. To find that true essence is the invitation of this moment, we're each in a dialogue with our death. That can be the fruitful conversation that allows us to clarify what we care about most deeply and what we will devote our life energy to. Welcome to Astrology for Awakening. I hope you have that conversation today and listen to the deep self's response.